Welcome back to our series on AI-era cybersecurity. Last time, we covered a lot of the theory. Well, today, we are getting practical. We're going from just talking about security to actually doing it. This is your step-by-step guide to building the skills that will get you hired. So today, we are building your personal launchpad into a cybersecurity career. We're going to cover the entire journey, seriously, from setting up a practice lab right on your own computer, all the way to creating a portfolio that makes employers sit up and take notice. Think of this as your hands-on career starter kit. And there's a huge reason for that growth. This isn't just about getting a job. It's about being part of a critical function in our super digital world. The demand for skilled pros is just exploding because, frankly, the stakes have never been higher. So if you're looking for a career that's not just in demand but genuinely meaningful, you are definitely in the right place. So here's our game plan. We'll start with the why, the motivation. Then we'll get our hands dirty building a digital lab. After that, we'll step into the arena to really practice our skills, forge a portfolio to prove them, and finally, we'll map out how you can actually launch your career. Let's dive in. First things first, the motivation. Before we get all technical, let's take a second to understand what makes this journey so compelling in the first place. So, why choose cybersecurity? Well, for starters, the demand is just off the charts. There are way more open jobs than qualified people, which naturally leads to some pretty competitive salaries. But hey, it's not just about the money. The career diversity is incredible. One day you could be an ethical hacker, the next you could be a digital detective. And the work is so impactful. You're literally on the front lines protecting people's data, a company's secrets, or even a whole nation's infrastructure. All right, here's where the real fun begins. We're going to build your personal training ground, your very own digital lab. Seriously, think of this as your flight simulator or your personal dojo. It's a totally safe place to experiment, to break things, and to learn without any real-world consequences. Now, I know this might look technical, but trust me, the setup is surprisingly straightforward. You just start with your normal computer, then you install some free software, something like VirtualBox or VMware Player. This lets you run multiple virtual computers right inside your own. You'll set up two. Your attacker machine, which will run Kali Linux, it comes packed with hundreds of security tools, and your target machine, which you can just download from sites like VulnHub. This creates a completely isolated sandbox where you can legally and safely practice hacking. And this is where the magic happens. Your lab isn't just for show. It's where you get to practice real, marketable skills. You can run network scans to map out a system, kind of like creating a blueprint of your target. You can test for vulnerabilities, you can analyze malware in a totally safe environment, and you can even practice digital forensics to see what data you can recover. It's the perfect sandbox for learning by doing. So, you've built the lab. Now it's time to step into the arena. Because look, having the tools is one thing, but actually using them to forge real skills is the whole point. This is where we shift from knowing about security to actually doing it. A huge concept you'll be practicing is ethical hacking. And the key thing to remember is this. You learn to think like an attacker, not to cause harm, but to find the weaknesses first. You become the organization's best defense by being its most clever simulated adversary. Your Kali Linux machine? It's like a digital Swiss Army knife, just packed with tools. You've got network scanners to find devices, vulnerability tools to check for weaknesses, but the real game changer is Python. Learning to write scripts in Python takes you from just being a tool user to being a genuine problem solver. It lets you automate tasks and even build your own custom tools. And let me tell you, that's a skill that makes you incredibly valuable. Once you start feeling comfortable in your home lab, it's time to test your skills out in the wider world. Platforms like Hack the Box offer a whole library of machines to practice on, and competitions called Capture the Flag, or CTFs, are like digital scavenger hunts that really test your problem solving. Start with the beginner-friendly ones. They're a fantastic way to learn from the community. So, you've practiced, you've competed, you've learned a ton, but how do you prove it to someone? Well, that brings us to your portfolio, the tangible, solid evidence of your skills. This is the question every single aspiring cybersecurity pro needs to answer. A degree or certification is great, but employers really want to see what you can actually do. They want proof of your hands-on problem-solving abilities. And this is exactly how you give them that proof. Remember that vulnerability test you ran in your lab? Write it up like a professional report. Document your research projects. Hey, start a technical blog just explaining a concept you learned. Contributing to an open-source security tool is also a huge plus. This portfolio becomes your story. Now, alongside your portfolio, certifications are the industry's way of stamping its approval on your foundational knowledge. For entry-level jobs, CompTIA Security Plus is really the gold standard for core concepts, while the Certified Ethical Hacker, or CEH, shows that you have a solid grasp of offensive security techniques. And now, we're at the final step. Your skills are sharp, your portfolio is built, your knowledge is certified. It's time to take all of that hard work out into the job market. So let's look at two very different paths you could take. You could become a security analyst, kind of like the digital guard on the front lines, watching for threats in real time. Or you could be an AI security researcher, a super cutting-edge role focused on protecting machine learning models. These folks defend against wild new attacks like prompt injection, where someone tricks an AI into ignoring its own safety rules. This just shows you how vast and dynamic the field has really become. And these roles, they exist everywhere. Every major industry, finance, healthcare, government, big tech, they're all desperate for security talent. And here's a pro tip for getting started. Focus on internships. They are, without a doubt, the single best way to get your foot in the door and turn your lab experience into real professional experience. As you launch your career, you have to remember this one crucial point. The learning never, ever stops. New threats, new technologies, they pop up every single day. Your commitment to always be learning is what's going to define your long-term success in this field. Okay, so here's your call to action. Take everything we've talked about and build your own personal learning roadmap. What's the first technical skill you're going to learn? Which certification are you aiming for? What's the very first project you're going to do for your portfolio? Write it down. A plan is what turns intention into reality. And, that really leads us to the final thought here. This isn't just about getting a job. It's about finding your place in this whole digital ecosystem. As threats evolve, driven by everything from simple scams to crazy complex AI, the world needs defenders. The only question is, what role will you play? I really hope this gives you a clear roadmap to get started, and be sure to join us next time as we explore what happens after a breach. We're going to dive deep into the world of digital forensics and incident response, the art of picking up the pieces and hunting down the attackers. You are not going to want to miss it. Hey, if this explainer helped you out, the best way to support this series is to like, subscribe, and maybe share it with someone else who's ready to start their own journey. We'll see you in the next one.